Hi guys, so we're doing another Sims 4 speed build today. First things first, you may notice the family that will be popping in and out for like testing and stuff. It is a family we've seen on the channel before. It is the Hancocks, and I did steal their lot, so that's why they're hanging around. But don't worry, their house and that family is still around. I just moved them temporarily to steal the lot. But today I am building sort of a rough interpretation of a house I saw on Fixer Upper. The family in the episode that I watched recently didn't actually pick this house, but I believe it's the house Joanna Gaines turned into a B&B like several episodes later. It's from the original series, it's not from Welcome Home. And I thought it was so pretty because it kind of looked like it was on a wonk on the lot, and so I tried to mimic that here. The inside is completely different because they didn't stay in the house long enough for me to get a feel for how the layout was anyway, and layouts, to be honest with you, don't often interpret from real life into The Sims very well. And by the end of this, I will admit the house does not look like it did in the show because, well, two important things happened. One is I built the actual shell of the house twice because I got all the way through and I was so excited and I hit save and the game was like, no, there's an error, and then just died. And I know better, right? Like, I know I should have saved like intermittently while building the shell, but I didn't. So you will actually see this built twice. I did leave I believe both cuts in because they turn out, yeah, here you go. They turn out differently. Like, so remember what you just saw and then remember how it ends up turning out. They turn out very differently. But the family that lives here, it's 3 daughters, the mom and the dad, and originally it was supposed to be a dog. And then when I built the family, because I actually went ahead and built the family after I built the house, I kind of let the house dictate the family this time. They ended up, though, with 2 dogs and a cat. So you won't see it in this video because I had already edited it and, like, gotten all the footage for the most part. But I did go back into this house and add a cat tree and add some cat stuff. So when it eventually gets up in the gallery, when I get that all dealt with, there will be cat stuff in here with the family, for the family. So, but in saying that, this house is 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. It has 2 living spaces, a giant and exorbitantly big kitchen, a laundry space. It's, let's see, 1, 2, 2.5 baths, 2.5 baths, I believe. And it doesn't really have a mudroom, but it does have a laundry space that could function as a mudroom, but it has a really nice back porch. The idea behind this house was that the living spaces were very sort of curated, like how they would have done on Fixer Upper. And the little girl's room, the little twins, they have a very sort of homey, very aesthetically pleasing room, like the mom had put it together, because that's the mom's style, is the idea behind it. And but like the older daughter's room, she's a teenager now, and her room was supposed to be like a mix of the little girl who was super cute and like, you know, into girly things, and now she's a little bit more like kind of rebelling against her mom's style and stuff. And the parents' room is, you can see the mom's influence where she wanted things decorated all cute, but there's also a lot of like, this is just our place to go and be, where, you know, the kids aren't necessarily around and stuff. So, and then the outdoors, it was kind of fun because like the front of the house is pretty like stylish and curated, but the actual like backyard is totally kid friendly. There is like some gardening and stuff, but it's totally like, you can tell it's just a fun place for the kids to play. So there's this sort of interesting juxtaposition in this house of, you can definitely see the mom like decorated and there's a style, but there's also like real life kids live here. So I had a lot of fun with this one. This house took a while too. There's been like 3 builds that really aren't that big, but for some reason just took forever. Like, I'm not joking. I started this house in January. I am recording this voiceover on February 18th, and you probably won't see this house till March by the time I actually get through the final edit and like get it all up and everything. It's crazy how long builds are taking me lately. And like my recording schedule, like I try to devote about 1.5 hours to 2 hours most weekdays. That's about what I can swing. So that hasn't really changed. So I don't know why videos are taking so long lately. But this house especially, it felt like it was on the to-do list for a while. And there's one in the wings. There's a build in the wings that actually I'm really quite happy with. It's a different style than I usually do. I'm not gonna spoil you too much on it, but I started in November, and it's not like Like the sort of like historic house I did a while back, which I want to do another one. I'm kind of into that again. The historic house that I did a while back, that took a long time because that was a huge house, and it needed a very specific aesthetic and everything. Like that one, it made sense that it took like 3 months for me to get it where I wanted it. These two, it does not make sense. It does not make sense how long it took me to get these houses where I want them. Also, you should know, I'm watching this back. I'm here. I was doing some testing and things. I'm watching this back, looking at some of the different paint styles and stuff. This is not how the final house ends up looking. I'm still, like, this isn't bad. I'm still stuck between a lot of the different paint. Because originally I wanted it to be sort of like a white siding, but like a thick plank siding. But then I wanted the little dormers on top, and the little dormers don't come in the siding I wanted. So I was trying to match the entire house to those dormers on the top, which looking back was probably in part why the outside of this house took so blessed long. But, and then I'm trying to think now, I think this changes entirely again, and I give up on matching the dormers. I don't know. But yes, this the whole aesthetic of the house, there's like 4 or 5 different inspirations, and that's why a lot of times I leave some of the long like figuring it out footage. Oh, I was trying to put stairs in. I gave up and just lowered the house. I don't know. Some people do such creative stairs. I don't get how to do that. But what was I saying? Oh, I leave some of the like poor design decisions, if you will, in. I like doing that because, for example, like when I watch a delicacy build, I'm way behind on YouTube videos, but I was watching her do a challenge where she was doing every room is a different color, but trying to do it very aesthetically pleasing and not just like everything has to be orange or you don't get to use it. There's multiple ways to do that challenge. I think all are really fun in their different contexts. But she was doing basically like the theme of the room should be like orange or whatever, but it doesn't have to all be orange. It can be tastefully done. And anyways, the first iteration of the room she did, I was like, oh, that's gorgeous, I want to build that. It was very brutalist and had a big orange wall, and by the end of it she had completely changed it to something that was also like equally gorgeous but completely different, and I was like, but I'm actually inspired by the first iteration. So that's why I try to leave like my goofs in here, because I hope if you're watching, you either think it's really cool how it turned out, or at the very least you're like, okay, but her first iteration was better and I can riff on that and then do something cool. And then if you do, I want to see. I want to see. You can't tell because I don't do face cam, but I just like wildly gestured at you that I want to see. So, oh, you might have heard that. I just knocked a bunch of things off my desk. That's cool. I need to stop gesturing when I do voiceovers. Going back a minute to, I fought with windows so hard too. Oh my goodness. I'm still not completely pleased with the windows in this house. However, I feel like they're more realistic, I guess, to real life, which would be what realistic means, than to a Sims build. It's interesting because in Sims builds, we very much think about things like window placement and like door placement from the outside, like how it looks aesthetically. And in real life, that does not happen. In most, my grandpa was a contractor. He used to call them crackerbox homes. Like the ones that kind of all in a neighborhood look very similar. If you look, the front is very sort of aesthetically pleasing, and then the sides and the back, windows just go wherever windows needed to be from the inside. That tends to be how we build houses, and that makes sense. Even if you look at my house, which is an old farmhouse, the front of the house is 1940s. It was built in like 1945, I believe. It was a wartime house, I believe. Like they came home and built it. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. And if you look at the windows, like they make sense for the house, and it's cute, like because the bushes have grown up and stuff. But if you stripped back all the landscaping on this house, the windows would be like weirdly high probably and stuff. Because we build for windows to make sense in the house, because we're in the house 90% of the time. You don't really use windows to look in unless you're creepy, but you use windows to look out, and so that's what matters. But in The Sims, because we don't actually look out the windows, it doesn't matter so much. It matters equally on the inside and the outside, and it becomes very difficult because it sort of affects your layout and stuff like that. And there's a lot of windows in this house, which I love the natural light, but there are some places on the outside where I'm like, that could be better, and that sucks. But I couldn't get it worked out. I tried to do, that's the original point I was gonna make. I tried to do built-ins. I really wanted to do I wanted the idea they bought the house kind of for the built-ins, for these really pretty little architectural pieces, and then fixed them up. It didn't end up being as prominent as I wanted it to be. I did leave that sort of like sitting area in the living room and the desk area in the formal front room, but this area that you're seeing built over there, I liked it. I just couldn't get it where I wanted it. So I ended up tearing it apart and doing something different. But I liked the idea of this. I think if I had built the house with more intention towards a built-in, like this, it would have worked better. So it's in my back pocket. I'm thinking about how to do a built-in like that because I like the idea of that sort of thing in a living room. I think it makes sense. Here I spend aggressively too long working on this built-in. I don't actually, now having started this long enough, remember how this turns out, but I'm pretty sure it turns out cute, or I probably wouldn't be showing you this build. Right? Like, people always, I've had a couple people now, well, especially like my real life friends, I build houses for them occasionally, like I'll send them the tar or whatever. And they're always like, how do you do this? I'm like, you don't understand. That was like 40 hours of my life. Like, to you asked and then you got to build. I was like, you don't understand. I stressed about that. It's not, I'm not one of those people like James Turner. He can just build beautiful houses out of his head. That is not me. So there's quite a few builds where I've been like, the world isn't seeing this one. And then there's been a few where I've gone, the world isn't seeing this one. And then like my little brother will come in and be like, that one's really cool. You should put it up. And I'm like, okay, I will. You're right, I guess. I'll put it up. Here I'm redoing the outside for like the 8th time. I believe it actually ends up more white in the end, but now that I've said that, who knows? I do think there's a lot of brick on this house, but I like a brick house. I've never lived in a red brick home, but I think they're very pretty. My house is yellow. Okay, story time. So I lived in a little green and gray home that my grandpa had built my mom and dad when they got married for the first like 22 years of my life. And then my parents moved back to where all of my dad's family was, because most of my mom's family had either kind of left the Pacific Northwest already or unfortunately weren't with us anymore. So they decided my senior year of college to move back to where all my dad's family was, which is where they've been. They've been in this valley for like 100 years or more. And so I went with them house hunting quite a bit over my summer break before my senior year and stuff. And we saw a ton of houses, and I was kind of like, I don't really care for any of these. But at that time, the idea was it didn't really matter to me, right? Because I was going to be starting my life. I probably wasn't going to move home. And we drove up on this place, and Mom was in the car with the realtor in front, and Dad and I were in the car behind them. We were trailing them because we were going to split after looking at this house. And also the day before, I had ridden in the realtor's car and gotten really car sick because she drove a Cadillac and they're very floaty. Anyways, so we drove up, and my poor dad, I got so excited. I was like smacking him because he was driving and I was the passenger seat. I was like smacking him. I was like, it's a little yellow farmhouse. It's a little yellow farmhouse. Didn't realize that's something I had wanted. And it has, my requirements were, I wanted, if I was going to have requirements, like I said, the plan had kind of been to maybe not move home. But I was like, if you want my list of requirements, what I would like is the room that I will be staying in when I come home. I'd love to have space for a desk and a bed. I was like, I need a giant back porch, because if you're going to live in a farmhouse, you need a giant porch. And I was like, and if we're dreaming pie on the sky here, you should have room for horses. Just saying. I got all three. It's amazing. And I did end up moving home because my mom got sick. So it worked out good because my room is actually my full-time office. That was a long-winded way of saying that I love my little yellow farmhouse. I'm very attached to this little yellow farmhouse. But I didn't know I wanted a little yellow farmhouse. Now every time I think about it, like, I absolutely wanted a little yellow farmhouse with little white trim. It's so cute. And the porches are green, which sounds weird, but looks really cute. So, and we just put a new roof on it, and the roof is a brown metal roof, which I was worried about, but looks really cute. The only problem is the guy put brown trim, so I need to go up and paint it. But that was a little bit of what would you call that? Like a bird walk of a conversation? We just went all over. But yeah, I live in a little yellow farmhouse, and I growing up in the Pacific Northwest, I've said this multiple times on this channel, I am so over gray and green as a color combination for houses. Now, I will say the little house that I grew up in was like a seafoam green. It was sort of, it wasn't quite seafoam. It was sort of a like seafoamy sage color. If you played Animal Crossing, you know that like almost tropical green they use on everything? That color. It was that color with like a soft, like, I think it was called mossy rock. I think that was the green. Anyways, and then the gray was a very light, almost white gray. So a very pretty take on green and gray, but it was green and gray. And I think that's part of why I love the little yellow farmhouse, is because it's so bright and happy. And it has a little white pergola. Oh, I love it. So, and pretty front and back porches. That was my big thing. Honestly, like, I will forgive a lot of sins for a porch. The little house I grew up in had a back patio and it had a little front porch, but the little front porch was like covered and it had a little place where you could sit, and I did so much like of my photo editing and stuff out there in the summertime. And my mom at the time was huge into her gardens. She had intense gardens, fuchsias for days, dangling fuchsias and hanging pots and pots on the rail, and we had begonias and pansies and snapdragons, which are some of my favorites, and just all like an absurd amount of plants, which made it so cozy and lovely. So that was like my big thing, is I was like, it has to have a porch. I cannot not have a porch. And we spend all summer out on the porch. And so now it's so funny when I build Sims houses, a lot of times I'm like, how do I make a porch out of this? And I've tried to not do that because porches in The Sims aren't as useful unless you put skill building stuff out there. But Sims don't at least maybe it's just the way I play. I don't tend to have a lot of uses for porches, but in real life I love them. I work outside on the porch. I do all my journaling and stuff out on the porch in the summertime, and because there's a weird thing that happens in the country. I knew this because I spent time on my uncle's farm, like in the summers growing up, but it really hits different when it's your house, but your neighbors and your friends and your family come to the back door exclusively. Solicitors and the mailman come to the front door. That's about it. Maybe trades people if it's like the first time at their house, but even like my Amazon guy now comes to the back door. I don't know why, and it's every house. Like at my grandma's house, a lot of times people will come to the back door, unless it's a little bit different because her house is kind of weirdly shaped, but even then, yeah, they come to like the garage door. And at my aunt and uncle's, they come to the back door. Nobody uses the front door. And so I've taken the front porch, the like formal front porch, and I started like trying to figure out how to make it cozy for like working and stuff. And my sweet brother surprised me one birthday and had put sun shields out there so I could work on my laptop, and put like some rugs down and stuff, and had made it really nice. And we're in hunt of a hammock, which will completely destroy the working out there thing, because I will be lazy and just take a nap. So we actually use the front porch kind of as like a more secluded zone. You know what I want to do out there too is I want to actually be like a sim, make it a skill building area, and maybe put like a yoga mat out there or something, because the one thing I don't have a lot of space for inside is a little exercise area. And your Shirley sits at a desk a lot and needs exercise. Anyways, I'm going completely off the rail. Let's talk about the building in for a minute. I was following for this house, I had a whole like mood board, which I thought about showing in the video, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because they're all stacked on top of each other and stuff. But basically I googled things like Joanna Gaines kitchen and Joanna Gaines living room, and then tried to do those things because I've been watching a lot of Fixer Upper again. They started playing Welcome Home on TV, which I have Discovery Plus, but I hadn't watched Welcome Home, so I've been watching Welcome Home on the actual television and having a great time being inspired by that. But anyways, so the house, it takes a little while to get there, and the kitchen is kind of bold. I don't know how I feel about the blue cabinets. I really wanted to do like basically the color of that sofa right there. Obviously in The Sims we don't have that. I still maintain that just recoloring a lot of the items we already have would make them infinitely more useful. I've joked several times about starting a series where it's literally just I do nothing but recolor and show what a kitchen would look like with 3 colors or something like that. I still think about that a lot. Because really, like the cabinets I use in the kitchen would be great if they were like a sagey green or like an emerald green or something like that. And then this living room I actually like. It's really cozy. I tried to do 2 distinct living spaces, a formal space where you would take like guests in, perhaps the kid's teacher or something like that, and then this space which was definitely meant more for like TV watching and hanging out and the dog, playing in there and stuff. I also kind of thought the main the like formal living space could sort of function secondarily as a den if it needed to. That's why there's that desk in there. There's also a desk in the parents' room for getting household chores and stuff done, and I believe there's a desk in the older daughter's room as well. The younger kids are their actual kids, and so I figured I don't know if this happens to y'all, but my Sims kids always either do their homework at the kitchen table, which makes sense, that's where I did my homework in real life growing up, or they do it like outside a lot, which I never did until college. But, well, I guess that's not entirely true. I guess it depends how you define it, because I did the last 2 years of high school, but I was in college at that point. So basically until I had quarters, I didn't work outside very much. But I hung out outside quite a bit, so I do get the point. And I like that they do homework kind of wherever. It's really fun. And I love when they have friends over to do homework. That is so cute. That is so fun to see. I love that little detail. And I love when parents help their kids with the homework. Like, they did good with some of those things. I really enjoy those little gameplay elements. Or, like, I have a screenshot somewhere of my personal sim family, and the dog is, like, sitting next to the kid while she's on the floor doing homework, and I was like, that's so cute, I'm gonna cry about it. But yeah, here's a little half bath. I didn't do a lot with the bathrooms. I kind of just left them plain. In part because, like, with this bathroom, it's gonna be really hard to see and play in anyway. It's tiny. Here you can see me trying to, like, see if everything's lined up. These are mid-height walls? ? Yeah, I think so. And those are so hard to fill. They're so hard to fill. I have a new request of The Sims 2 with this house. Oh my goodness, jumping around like crazy. I didn't see this in editing. Apologies. One of the things I would love to see, it'd be a super hard switch, I bet. Although, actually, saying that, isn't it mosquito? Let me actually explain to you what I want first, and then I'll jump around. So you can see me putting a lot of photos and stuff on shelves, and because I like the look of having, like, framed photos and framed images up on shelves, kind of leaning. I think that's really nice, and also it doesn't put holes in your walls if you're renting and things like that, which is really nice. And I wish we could do that in The Sims. Like, I would love to see with the hanging imagery, especially, like, those beautiful maps and things like that, where if you set them on a shelf, they would snap and maybe put, like, lean against the wall or something like that, like, have that as an option, be able to pop the bottom out, so it looks like it leans a little bit more. It's not too bad, like, we can make it work, and, you know, if you suspend your disbelief just a little bit, but it would be nice. It would be really interesting. And I was gonna say, I don't know how they do that. That's probably really hard. And then it occurred to me, I think with actual family photos, they do that if you have the mosquito pack. But I've not played with the mosquito pack. I want to. You want to hear something dumb? That pack, I really just want the windows out of. So there's a lot of packs where I'm like, eventually I'm going to buy that entirely for this one thing that would help my builds so much. Isn't that the silliest? I swear, I know they do that on purpose. It also doesn't help that I'm a collector. My brain is just like, I play this game so much, I can justify it. But I'm waiting for the next sale. I think I'm gonna pick up a couple. But I digress. Anyways, it would be really cool because I do love leaning photos. I like that look very much in real life, and I like it very much in The Sims. I think it helps, and the reason I brought that up is because downstairs in the kitchen I have a couple places where I tried to make it look like photos were leaning. Wow, I don't know if you could hear that. I don't know if that got picked up on the mic. A coyote that is apparently very close just howled like crazy. It's the middle of the day. He shouldn't be out there. Like, it's the middle of winter. There's not a lot of places to hide anyway. That's concerning. Anyways, here we're in the little girl's room, and I did try to curate this a little bit. I accidentally took a screenshot there. Does anyone else do that? I take screenshots consistently when I don't mean to. But anyways, I tried to make the little girl's room a little bit more curated. It's a little more inspired by some stuff I saw on Fixer Upper, with a fair amount of, like, little kids live here, and little kids want to do stuff to their room. Again, just a very plain bathroom. This is almost exactly the color palette of a friend's bathroom growing up, and I didn't mean it to be that way, but, like, early 2000s, everyone had tan bathrooms with, like, blue fixtures, right? Or not fixtures, like curtains and things, you know, accessories, decoration. I don't know what the word would be for that. Anyways, it's just a plain basic bathroom for the girls to use. But the little girl's room was a little more curated. This is the older girl's room, and I kind of tried to design it in a way where it was like she's rebelling definitely against her mom's style a little bit. Not that her mom pushes it, and her mom fully supports it and has tried to help and stuff there. She totally gets that, like, not everyone is going to have her sort of, like, farmhouse style. But this little girl's kind of going through, I say little girl, she's a teen, but she's kind of going through that stage where it's like she's not quite ready to grow up completely, so there's a few things around that are still a little kitty, but she's definitely ready to start branching out, doing her own thing. So she wanted to paint her room dark, she went a little bit more modern, she's really into music, so she's got a lot of musical influences, spends a lot of time in her room, so she tried to really curate it. But there's also little things like stuffed animal still sitting up on top of the dresser and things like that. She still got a couple of her older, like, Harry Puffer photos and stuff. And I went with blue and orange because I liked that bed a lot, and it dictated the whole room, to be entirely honest with you. Yeah, I really like this room and the way it turned out. I think it's really fun. So, also, I think it's in this room. I might have to wiggle the dresser. I didn't test the dresser in the specific room, so we'll have to see because it might conflict with the piano. We'll have to see. I tested most of the stuff, but the kids' rooms I didn't test as much. I was kind of hurrying to get this done, to be honest with you. Like I said, it sat for so long. And there's the armadillo. And there's the teddy bear. I saw the teddy bear up there because, like, for example, I'm 25, right? I've moved a couple times. I've survived college and have a career, and I keep my camera off at work because my desk faces my bed, and I still have my teddy bear on my bed. And which, side note, is also just I don't need my face on these videos, but probably why there will never be face cam on these videos, because, like, if you were to put a camera on my face right now, you would also see my bed, and I have too many stuffed animals on my bed. I have a queen size bed, and I sleep in about half a twin's worth of space. It's a problem. It's a problem, but I refuse to, like, grow up and not have stuffed animals on my bed. Does anyone else? I'm hoping other people do this, right? I'm very much of the idea of, like, my room is my sanctuary. It needs to do everything that I want it to do to have, like, a calm, relaxing moment. So I have, obviously, my games in here to be able to relax and play a video game. I've been super into Arceus right now. Pokemon Legends Arceus. And, like, I have my YouTube stuff in here, my mic and everything is all set up. It's never plugged in unless I'm actually using it, but, like, everything is set up. I basically build a nest, right? Like, this is my sanctuary space. And so my desk is very fluffy, and my bed is very fluffy, and everything is just very warm and cozy, right? But unfortunately, I am also an adult with a career who has to be like, excuse me, if I have to turn my camera on, I have to go hide some things, please. Which is why I don't have a customer-facing career, on top of just not being super into customers. And it works out good because we all work from home now, so there's been several times where people have turned their mic on and been like, at a Wendy's, and I'm like, I feel less bad. This bathroom is annoying. I could not figure out how to do this bathroom, and I eventually just kind of gave up and styled it. There's a fair amount of pinks in here. My parents' bathroom growing up was very much full of kid stuff, to be honest, because we were always in there, you know, mom was helping me with my hair, or Christopher and dad were quote unquote shaving together, you know, just little cute kid things. And so this bathroom ends up being kind of a mess, but I kind of imagined, like, it's just a work in progress. It's the last thing she stopped caring about because kids were always in here, people were always in here, so you can see, like, there's some pink influences, but she hasn't painted it yet. Stuff is just all over the cabinets, which I always clutter my bathroom cabinets because otherwise they cook up here. And I'm trying to avoid them using the bathrooms as a kitchen. Here we go. And then we're styling the outside. Like I said, I tried to do the front a little more curated. So this is the final look of the house. Isn't it cute? It's a little more brown. I put some window boxes and stuff. And then the lot is kind of long and skinny. I wanted the corner lot because the house is, the front is on a wonk. It's diagonal. But the lot was kind of big. So I moved the house forward, and then I cut the lot quite a bit. So you could expand the yard a ton if you wanted to. You could get probably, I think it's like 7 or maybe 6 or 7 more tiles. I fought with this shed for forever, and I'm still unhappy with it. And I've yet to build a good greenhouse. I don't understand. There's something here that I am missing. I do not understand. I keep trying to build greenhouses. It keeps not working. It does come out in the end okay. It looks more like a shed than a greenhouse. But it works out fine for a gardener shed. But sheds, that's all. Greenhouses are hard. That's all. But it does turn out I wanted a little place where they could grow flowers all year long, and then there's a big garden plot. Because I thought that would be fun. That sounded very on trend for them, and there's a lot of places for them to hang out outside. And I did put a clothesline, even though there's a dryer, and I think put the, like, hand washing board situation out here just because I thought it would be cute and something fun for the kids to do. But there is a washer and dryer in the house, which we spent a few minutes in. You can kind of see, and so they can wash clothes and stuff. I didn't put hampers in the rooms, though, because hampers are what triggers the laundry. And while I love having a laundry room, I know a lot of people hate it with a passion. So I tend to not put hampers in. So when you move in your family, you can choose whether or not to have hampers. So you can have the cute laundry room, or you can turn it into a bedroom or something else. But people aren't going to just magically start generating laundry for you. I think it adds a level of realism, but I'm also aware that a lot of people don't. And to be fair, there are some families too where I'm like, there are 1,200 kids in this family. I'm not turning laundry on. No, thank you. So yeah, all you'd have to do is add hampers to the kids' room, which you could easily remove a plant and put a hamper in. I think in both kids' room and in the parents' room, there's just space. It would be easy to put in the bathroom or something like that if you wanted to actually enable laundry to happen. Otherwise, you could turn it into a mudroom or just leave it for aesthetics, honestly. Like, it's cute. It makes sense in a house like this with 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a cat. It was so funny, too, because I generated the first dog. I believe her name is Bella. You'll meet them soon. They're in a video. Her name is Bella, and I was like, oh, she needs a friend. And so then I generated, is it Bubbles is her name? Oh, no, I forgot the other dog's name. Huge dog. And I was like, uh-oh. And then I wasn't going to add a third animal, and then I realized, like, well, if I added one more, I got to 8, which I know with pets you can have up to 10, but it's fine. I was like, I could get to 8, and then we need a cat. Like, now we need a cat. We have 2 dogs, we need a cat. So I added a cat. It grew out of control really fast. So then I had to come back in. There will be, in the upload, a cat tree in the living room, an extra bowl for the cat to eat out of, and I think there's a cat tree in the kids' room as well. The cat looks like my cat, Juliet, who has decided to move in with the neighbors, which is interesting. But for a long time, I had a cat named Juliet. She was a tuxedo. She was lovely. Now I just have Cordelia, who is a little gray. But here are the screenshots. I'm going to let you go because I've now been talking for, like, legit a half hour. This is a very long video. I'll let you hang out with the screenshots. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will talk to you all soon.